The battle raged on, and the Zalcor were confident. They'd destroyed entire species before, and now they had humanity cornered. But what they didn't know was that humans weren't like any other species. "Target the human vessel," Commander Drethar ordered calmly. He watched as his fleet tore through the darkness, bringing devastation in their wake. A small human transport ship was caught in the chaos, its engines sputtering. It was slow, it was weak, it would be easy to destroy. But when the weapons officer hesitated, Drethar's smile faded. "Why haven't you fired?" he demanded. I can't, Commander." The officer's voice shook. "Follow orders," Drethar shouted. But the officer didn't flinch. We're not allowed," he whispered. "Not allowed?" Drethar repeated, his voice turning cold. The officer's eyes flicked toward the human ship. "By the rule," he said. The words hit Drethar like a punch to the gut. The rule? No one had told him about any rule. "There is no rule above my command," Drethar growled, slamming his fist down. "Fire on that ship." But the officer remained unmoved. "I won't," he said. Confusion, then fear, crept over Drethar. Why were his soldiers refusing to follow orders? The human ship broke through the chaos, escaping into deep space, and with it, every officer aboard the flagship let out a breath they didn't know they'd been holding. But Drethar couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Something bigger was happening. Across the battlefield, the same thing occurred again and again. Humans, when faced with certain death, didn't die. They escaped, evaded, survived. No one could understand why. Back on the surface of Eranth 9, a small group of humans moved through the ruins of a city. Buildings lay in ashes, fires burned in the streets. Sergeant Mark Hale pulled a wounded soldier into cover. "Why aren't they finishing us off?" the soldier asked between breaths. Mark didn't answer. His eyes darted toward the alien forces, standing off in the distance, weapons lowered. "We were surrounded," the soldier whispered. "They could have killed us." And yet, they hadn't. The aliens had watched them, had let them go. As Mark glanced around, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had just changed. The galaxy wasn't fighting for victory anymore, it was fighting for something else. Aboard his flagship, Drethar was learning something that terrified him. A shadowy figure appeared on his screen, an ancient alien, one who had seen countless wars. "You broke formation," the figure said, his voice heavy with years of knowledge. "I followed the plan," Drethar said, his voice tight, "but my crew refused to fire on humans." The figure paused. "Good," he said simply. Drethar stared at him, dumbfounded. "You approve of disobedience? I approve of survival." Drethar's heart raced. "Explain the rule," he demanded. The figure's eyes glowed faintly. "The rule exists because long ago we tried to erase humans." Drethar's blood ran cold. "And?" The figure leaned closer. "And we failed. They were weak, divided, unprepared. But they endured." "How?" Drethar asked, his voice barely a whisper. "They refused to accept extinction." The figure's words echoed in Drethar's mind. Humans, weak, divided, yet they refused to die. A few days later, Drethar found himself in a forbidden chamber, staring at the glowing screen. It flickered to life, showing him ancient images of the galaxy at war. "They did not win," the figure said, his voice almost sorrowful. "But they did not fall." Drethar felt a chill crawl up his spine. "So we fear them." "No," the figure replied, his voice firm. "Fear is too simple." "Then what?" Drethar asked, his mind reeling. "Respect." The screen went dark, and Drethar was left standing, frozen. Back on the battlefield, the war was not over. The Zalcor forces, despite their technological superiority, found themselves stifled by humanity's uncanny ability to endure. The human fleet may have been smaller, their ships less advanced, but they were relentless. Drethar stood on the deck of his flagship, gazing out at the stars. His orders were clear: wipe out the humans. But with each passing day, he felt the weight of something deeper growing. In the final moments, Captain Laura Hayes of the human fleet faced Drethar's flagship, her voice calm but fierce. "We are not weak. We are not here to conquer. We're here to survive." The humans fought back, not for victory, but for the right to exist. Drethar watched as his fleet crumbled. The humans were relentless. They adapted, they learned, they never stopped. As the last remnants of his forces vanished into the void, Drethar realized something that would change the galaxy forever. Humans didn't follow the rules of war, they made their own. And in the end, it wasn't the strongest species that won, it was the one that refused to quit. Humanity had become a force that even the greatest empires couldn't ignore. No rules, no mercy, just survival.